Hi there, folks. I'm Dean Mercado, Online Marketing Muscle, and I have the distinct pleasure once again to have conversation with my sales friend over here, my sales guru friend, Jeff Goldberg from Jeff Goldberg and Associates. And as usual, I have a very direct question for him. We've seen this pain in our own company in the past. We've seen this pain through a lot of companies we've worked with in the past. And it comes down to hiring salespeople. And making sure that you're hiring the right person. A lot of times you go through the process and you think you're doing your due diligence and you hire a salesperson on board and all of a sudden it fizzles. Then what? The results don't start showing up. Why is this so? And what can we do to maybe prevent that from happening so often?
Yeah. When I give you the answer, Dean, you're going to go, of course. Here's the thing. Salespeople, if they are at all good at their job, they don't have to be great salespeople.
Right.
If they're even decent salespeople, they're going to do great on an interview because they're selling their favorite product themselves. So they are great at making themselves terrific. And the other thing is, a lot of them are BSers.
Right.
So I know that when I was a hiring manager, I never once received a resume from a salesperson where they weren't a top producer and didn't blow away their quota every quarter. Now, I've been in sales 4 decades. I got to tell you, I didn't blow away my quota every quarter. So one thing is to understand when you're interviewing salespeople, they're good at pitching themselves, and they may be exaggerating, but the more important thing is most people don't know how to interview salespeople. They don't know how to ask the right questions.
Okay, interesting.
So if you ask questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Who cares? I don't care where you're going to be in 5 years. or what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? You know, everybody knows those questions are coming. What they have to do, and this is actually true for every position, but certainly for a sales position, is we want to make them show us how they're going to do the job when they're actually on it. So they have to ask what I call situational questions, and situational questions describe a particular selling situation and make the salesperson explain to you how they would handle it. What this does is it gives you a more realistic view of how they're actually going to react when they're out there with customers, because one of the things about sales is you have to be able to think on your feet. You could be pitching and pitching and pitching, and then sometimes the prospect says something or asks a question, and you have to take a left turn, and you've got to be able to think like that. So I teach sales managers and companies to ask questions like, if you were a salesperson, Dean, which I know you're a good salesperson but a brilliant marketer, I would be saying things like, so Dean, tell me about a big sale that you thought you were going to get and at the last minute you lost it. What went wrong and what would you do differently? Well, at some point in your career, I promise, you had that situation.
Sure, of course.
And if you can't quickly tell me the story about it and come up with what you did wrong and what you would do differently, something's off.
Right, exactly.
And if you tell me that you never had that, okay, good. So tell me about a big sale that you won, which you didn't think you were going to get. Why didn't you think you were going to get it, and how did you? So situational questions that show them how they're going to do the job are much better in ascertaining whether somebody's actually going to do what you want them to do. I also am a big fan of having a written job description which clearly defines every one of the duties. Here's what I see all the time, Dean. Salesperson gets hired, 2-3 months go by, and the sales manager is scratching their head going, why aren't they prospecting? Well, you didn't tell them in the interview. Part of the deal is every day part of your job is prospecting, and here's how much prospecting we're going to expect you to do. If you didn't tell them and get agreement up front, why would they think you're going to do it? So you have to be very clear up front in the expectations, and I like to overdo it. We want you to prospect 100% of the time and let them find out it's only 50 or 20%.
Absolutely.
Because it is one of the keys. So being straightforward, putting them on the spot, seeing how they're going to react, that'll get you better salespeople.
Wow. And that says it all, folks. It really does. Not much you can add to that. For Dean Mercado, Jeff Goldberg, thanks and have an outstanding day.